Hey everybody, Flip with Kelly. Kelly here coming at you. What do you know? Same name, huh? So how do you get started in this real estate business? Whether it be wholesaling, the today money, fix and flip, the tomorrow money, and the buy and hold, the evergreen, the forever, the put it in a trust, pass it on to your kids' money, or whatever, spend it. You can't take it with you, money. um, Passive money, whatever you want to call it. So I just thought I would, and of course there's all kinds of different ways to get started, but I can let you know kind of my journey. I've got to think back decades ago now here. But I believe I got my start. Of course, I've been in construction most of my life, so that kind of helps a little bit. Not really, kind of does. But I mean, if you want to pound a hammer, I guess it does. Wholesaling, you don't pound hammers, unless you're doing a wholesale or something. But you're more flipping the papers, but instead of flipping the properties. I kind of got my start through being around my dad, who owned rentals. And then, I moved into a mobile home when I was 18 and got roommates to help afford the bills and whatnot and make a little extra money. And so they kind of coined that house hacking. You just got roommates paying you money, whatever you want to call it. And then, some of those roommates are cleaner than others, some pay better than others, so kind of introduces you to if you want to get into renting. But it is a way to produce money. So that'd be a good way to get started. Do a little house hack, get some roommates. Get some paying roommates that can clean up after themselves. And then if you've got shared rooms in the house, then maybe one takes out the garbage and the other one takes the garbage out to the road, or you split up the house cleaning duties. And that'll teach you how to screen tenants, background checks, credit checks. Now, if they don't have good credit, that's okay. If they got cabbage, we could work with cabbage, and they don't necessarily have to have good credit, or maybe they've got good credit and they don't have a lot of money to put down, or a combination of the two. So that'd be a good way to get started. That's kind of how I got my start. And then my grandma was living in a rental. I believe I was in my 20s, and the landlord approached me, and I'm not sure if my dad had anything to do with that or not. But as far as interest, I think he just approached me because my dad never did tell me that, from what I remember. Anyway, so that would be like prospecting, word of mouth. Somebody knows somebody, it's who you know. And he's like, I want to sell you this place, or are you interested in buying this place? I'm like, yeah, because I had done the roommate thing. I had also rented out my trailer in a mobile home park, which, it's their rules, so it's a little bit of a different game there. Nowadays I'm more interested in buying a mobile home if it's got land underneath that, if they own the land underneath it, type of thing. I guess if you want to buy a mobile home park and a mobile home in a park, if they're cool with that, and you got to manage the tenant, and if you want to play that game, you most certainly could, I guess. But preferably we like them to own the land underneath it, so that you're buying the land and the mobile home and you're not getting into paying lot rent and subject to all their rules, and they control things more. But so yeah, getting back to that duplex, my grandma lived in. He gave me a pretty good deal on it. I think I bought it for like 30,000 ish, and got a bank loan on it. My dad co-signed on it, and because I really didn't have any credit back then, and it was an upper lower duplex. My grandma lived in the lower unit, and her unit was all remodeled. It was pretty, but that upper unit needed some work. And but he sold it to me for a good price, and we really didn't do that much to it. I think we replaced the carpet up in the. We didn't have to do anything to my grandma's unit because that was good to go. But we replaced the carpet. We replaced linoleum in the bathroom floor. I think there might have been something else we did to it too, but didn't really stick that much money. We had a lot of problems with the upstairs renter. Actually, her unit was a upper lower, that other unit, and my grandma's was just a lower unit. So these upper lower, that other unit, kind of poor design, because in order to use the bathroom you got to go upstairs, which is kind of inconvenient. And we thought about trying to put a half bath, but there wasn't really a whole lot of room down there. Anyway, she wasn't a very good paying tenant. Had some boyfriend issues. They got into a fight one day, I guess, and yeah, he was a musician. He had a guitar there, which I'm a musician as well, but she took some scissors or something, cut all of his guitar strings. She was not very happy with him. But anyway, so that ended up being kind of like a burr project. I think actually ended up selling that for like 50-some thousand. We only stuck a couple thousand into it, 2,000 to 4,000, I believe, and so I made about 20,000 on that deal. That was one of my better deals. Some of the deals I've done, I've lost some, broke even on some, but that was one of my more profitable. It was a good burr strategy on that one. So yeah, you can do a burr strategy. I've had rentals. I've owned multifamilies. The more you do, the more you get into it and market, the more these opportunities pop up. And then if you got good credit, you can get bank loans, and there's a way to kind of go about doing that as well. But, and then the place I'm living in now, we originally tried to wholesale it back when I knew nothing really about wholesaling, and found this property through a bandit sign. So there's a little marketing tip for you. But did everything wrong you can imagine. Did not get it under contract, started marketing it. I was probably marketing it illegally. And I just told the seller, I said, we're not getting any bites on this, because I originally told him that I was going to have somebody else buy it, find a buyer. And he was cool with that. I don't know, maybe he thought it was a realtor, who knows. But so I did talk to another wholesaler in town about it, and he's like, well, you got it locked up too high, or you got it priced too high. And so he was a good wholesaler, because right away he knew that it was too high, so he was trying to get me down. And I just went back to the seller. I never said one word about, hey, let's reduce the price. I never tried to negotiate with him. But by saying we're not getting any bites on this, it's not moving, he negotiated against himself and offered to lower the price himself, which was cool. And this happened over a period of months, and this is what they call building rapport, building a relationship, and follow up, that type of stuff. And he actually did 2 or 3 price reductions, I believe, maybe 4. And he went down from, I think it was maybe in the mid 50s down to he eventually got down to 39,000. And then I was kind of thinking in my head that, 39,000, that might be a little low. He might actually change his mind, which he actually did without me saying anything about it, not one word. And he's like, I got thinking this over, and he's like, this 39 is kind of low. He's like, could we go up some? And so I already had my answer prepared because I was anticipating, and I'm like, well, why don't we just call it an even 40? And he's like, okay. So, you give and take a little bit in these negotiations, and that way somebody feels like they're getting a good deal instead of the raw end of the stick. So, ended up putting this house under land contract. We went to a local attorney for that, a real estate attorney who had done many land contracts, so he was experienced with them. And basically got this house under land contract, and then did a little bit of fixing on it. We had promised to fix the roof in the summertime, so 0 money down, with a promise to fix the roof. Ended up being fall because I didn't get at it right away, but seller didn't complain at all, and we put a new metal roof on it in the fall and got it fixed up to the point where a bank was willing to put a more traditional mortgage on it. So in about 3 years, we did a cash refi out of the land contract into a traditional mortgage and got $12,000 cash back at closing. The seller, when we locked it up in the land contract, the seller actually, his mortgage balance was higher than what we locked it up for, about $8,000-ish higher. So I told him in advance, like a year or two, maybe just a year or so, like, hey, you're going to have to bring some money to closing. He's like, okay, well, thanks for letting me know. And he says, I'm going to have to save up for that. And he did. He was responsible, and he saved up, and he brought the 8,000-ish to closing, and the bank wrote us out a check for 12,000, and that we were able to get the 12,000 because the LTV, the loan to value, was so that they could borrow us more money against the house, the 12,000, because the loan to value made sense to them, and we kind of maxed that out. Now we could have not did a cash out refi, not gotten the 12,000, and just had a lower mortgage balance. So it depends on, do you want to get the house paid off, or are you looking to get that 12,000 from the bank? Just depends on your preference on that. So yeah, pretty much did everything possible, imaginable wrong, and still ended up no, it's our residence, so still ended up working out. And now 12 deals later, with over the last 2 years, learned a lot about wholesaling, learned a lot about marketing. And part of your marketing is just the more you do it, you just get that 1% better or whatever ish. You just improve over time. So, but you know, when you do it consistently, when you do it 5-6 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever you want to do it, and you get more experience under your belt, and you do JVs. I still JV yet to this day. And in a way, your cash buyer is kind of like a JV or a partner. So they are a key player in the business, and you can actually utilize a cash buyer as a JV partner in a sense. Think of them as your partner now. Depending on what you want to do, you can just go lock the deal up and then shop it around to your cash buyers, or depending on, you know, maybe you just make them into a partner. It depends on how it suits you. So depending on your situation and your location and whatnot. But I think that pretty much brings us up to date on a lot of this stuff. So remember, bandit signs, test them out in your area, see if they work, and don't put one or two out. That's not a good test. You know, but 20, 25, 50, whatever signs out consistently. Do that every week. Put them up on Friday, take them down on Sunday, or just leave them out. I guess that choice is up to you, but put them out over a period of months, if not maybe 1 or 2 years, and see if you get deals from them. And then make sure you're doing it right. Make sure they're written on one side of the sign only, so the sun don't hit them and they bleed through and you can't see anything. And make sure you're putting them out in high traffic areas in the right locations. And make sure you're doing it right so you get correct results. And so you got cold calling, texting, bandit signs, direct mail, sticky notes, government lists, drive for dollars. They got some newer tactics out nowadays that are, you know, can improve your odds and chances by leaps and bounds. You know, the house may have a property, or the owner could be in some kind of distress, financial distress. So there's a lot to this game. Get a little better each day, but the key is to get started, and to get started so that you're not getting overwhelmed, and then be consistent at it. And if your back's against the wall, sometimes that can be a good sometimes that can propel you forward like a rocket all of a sudden, because it's kind of like when you're hungry, right? When you're really, really hungry, if you're starving, if you stand a lot to lose, and your back's against the wall, sometimes that can be the rock bottom that can turn it all around, and off into outer space you go. Elon Musk headed to Mars. So this is Kelly. I hope this video had some value for you. If you feel that it does, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll keep pumping out more value to you. This is Kelly. Have yourself a great, what are we in now? January 2026. All right, let's make it a good 26, guys. Later.